Before my debut novel, I'd started several novels. I'd started several screenplays and comic books. I'd started all those projects knowing, just knowing, in my gut, that I would finish this one. Time after time, I spun my wheels and I got nowhere. I made excuses and finished nothing. Until I won a battle for the first time in the war of art. The war we fight every day against procrastination, writer's block, time management, day jobs, feeling tired, and so on. Stephen Pressfield calls it resistance, and it is evil. Resistance loves to stand in the way of wonderful pursuits of calling in any creative art. The launch of an entrepreneurial enterprise, diet, spiritual enlightenment, tighter abs, habit breaking programs, education, helping others, acts of commitment, the taking of a principled stance, and so on. Any act from our higher nature will elicit resistance, and it must be defeated again and again. Are you a writer that doesn't write? Are you a filmmaker that doesn't make films? A musician that doesn't play? Are you an amateur that loves the art but can't seem to finish your own? Then today's talk is for you. Welcome to Books by Adrian on the AuthorTube Writing Conference for 2023. Right on, writers. Welcome back, or welcome if you're new to the Books by Adrian author platform. I am Adrian Santiago. I am the author of Sci-Fi, Fantasy, Murder Mystery, Mythic, Shadow of the Spark, and its prequel, The Death and Rebirth of Bella Erdman. And these books are available now in paperback and, if this thing turns on, eBook as well. The links to all of them are in the description downstairs. Signed, personalized copies are also available through my Ko-fi. Again, links are downstairs. Before I get started officially with the talk today, let's take a look at the chat and say hello. So many faces in the chat, so many new ones. In fact, I've said hello to a bunch of them as we were waiting to go live, but let me go ahead and throw some of them up here. Obviously, the great and powerful Margaret Pinard, Arundel, or Arundel? I dig it. Cool name. Easy Graphics is here. What's up, Andy? Martin, my boy. Miss Ward, hello. Everyone. Oh, Six Cats Press. Welcome. Who else is new in here? I saw, Lauren Adele, welcome. Wow. See, there's not usually this many people in my chat. Shannon, what's up, yo? All right. RC, he was actually first through the gate, though he was very, very early. Helen Garraway, alum of Livestream Sunday, which is now dead and is called The Writer's Den. Welcome, Helen Garraway. Welcome back. All right. So I think that's everybody with the fresh faces. Oh, the Blind Mage is here. Hello. Laura Nettles. Welcome. Okay. So welcome, everybody. If you have questions about making the mental switch from amateur to professional, please throw those into the chat. We have a poll going on. We have a question and answer type dealie going on. And of course, a link to the universal book link for my novel. Go pick up a copy. Murder mystery, sci-fi, fantasy, good stuff. Okay. So a very hearty and healthy hello to you guys. If you are interested in those genre-bendy adventures, subscribe to the channel as well. Stay tuned for so much more. So much coming down the pipeline. I already said this, but throw a Q in there. I'm trying to catch up on my So I do have the talk to get through today, but I wanted it to be a little conversational towards the end. So please throw the questions in there. All right. Now, let me first inform you that the majority of today's talk was inspired by the book The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield and its sister book, Turning Pro, by the same author. Any chance you get to pick up a copy of that, do so. It is well worth it. The the audiobook is available for free right here on YouTube. The link is in the description down below. Let's get started. I have a writing ritual. I like rituals. I like them for the same reasons that I like family traditions. My family back home has a tradition of watching Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas every year at Christmas time. This is not about the film itself, though we do love it. But watching the same movie repeatedly won't create any special new memories about the film itself. It's all about the subtle differences in the family watching the film, right? The first year my son watched with us, the first year he had his brother with him, the first year that my sister moved away and had to commute to join us for Christmas. It's all about the in-betweens. Those little differences that make each time distinct, unique, special. I bring that same energy to my writing. I do my best thinking and writing early in the morning when my mind and body are fresh. After cleaning up, stretching, sipping a coffee, feeding the kids, all that stuff, my wife will eventually take those kids with her out into the world to have adventures, and the house becomes quiet. And I begin my writing routine, which again is the same as, or as similar as I can keep it, right? But then it's the magic that happens when the keys are clacking that I'm here for. So I do my best thinking in the morning. Once the house is quiet, at that point, I'll brew a second cup of coffee. I'll pour a glass of water. I'll eat some buttered toast so I'm not on an empty stomach. And I'll go through an entirely separate ritual of smoking or vaping if or when the occasion calls for that. And then I sit at the computer or notebook with my drinks and I get started. For background music, I'll use pre-made playlists. Depending on the piece's genre or the scene's mood, I'll choose the playlist most appropriate. I never ever create a playlist during a writing session. I just hit shuffle and leave it. Do not be distracted by all the extra bells and whistles of your writing session. And then I write. I write in 25-minute sprints. Um, yeah, I write in 25-minute sprints with 5 to 10-minute breaks in between, meant for hydration or bathroom breaks, things like that. And then I'm back at it for another 25. I sprint until I find myself struggling for ideas or my wife and kids return home, whichever happens first. That's when I pack it up and end the session. I might go through 2 sprints during that session, or 3 or 5. I might write 1,000 words or just 300. It doesn't matter. The session got done. The work got done. I clocked in, I worked, I clocked out. Was it an 8-hour workday? No. I have children and a day job. I had exactly that much time for writing that day, and I used exactly that much time for writing that day. The next day, that session might run longer. Perhaps later that night, I'll fit in a few more sprints when everyone is asleep. Maybe I'll fit in some notebook time during my lunch break at work. If those opportunities to write more do appear, I'll seize them and use them to get more done. If those opportunities never arise, no problem. Why? Because I got my session done for the day. I defeated my resistance, something I battle every day. What is this resistance that Stephen Pressfield is always talking about? Resistance, procrastination, it cannot be seen, but you can feel it. It's an energy field. It's radiating from a working potential. It's a repelling force, a negative force. Its goal is to shove us away, to distract us, preventing us from completing our work. It doesn't come from external sources, though it would like us to think that it does. It comes from within, self-actuated, self-perpetuated, the enemy inside us all. It will tell you anything to keep you from working. It will assume any form it needs to take to deceive you. It has no conscience. If you take it at its word, you deserve everything you get because it's always lying. It's full of shit. Resistance. It's like the shark from Jaws or the Terminator or the Joker from The Dark Knight. It can't be reasoned with. It understands nothing but power. This is the nature of resistance. Everyone experiences resistance. It's powered by fear. And that fear never really goes away, but resistance has no strength of its own. We feed it power with our fear of it. We master that fear and we conquer resistance. We are at war. The battle must be fought anew every day. And it's a fight to the death. Resistance aims to kill. Its target is any creative endeavor that will elevate you to a higher plane of being. And it's a petty little shit too. If it can't get you on its own, it'll recruit. When a writer finally sits down to write, they might find that the people around them in their lives start behaving strangely. They get sick or become moody or sullen. They may accuse the awakening writer of changing, of not being the person they used to be, of, they're trying to sabotage the writer. The reason is that they're struggling with their own resistance. Oh, if this burgeoning writer can overcome his demons, why can't I? It's their own mess just being reflected right back at you. So we need to win more battles against resistance than we lose. How? How do we win more creative battles? By turning pro. Turning Pro is a companion novel of sorts to The War of Art, both written by Stephen Pressfield. What do I mean by turning pro? Think of it this way. We have loads of excuses, issues, and obstacles that keep us from getting our writing done or whatever art we pursue done. Is that how you treat your day job? See, everyone gets sick days and family emergencies, and I'm not talking about that. Do you arrive at work late because you were playing video games? Do you duck out early because you're tired? Do you fail to show up at all because your creative juices just aren't flowing? No, you show up every day, on time, rain or shine, happy or sad, full or hungry. You show up. That's professionalism. Show up every day. And that's what you need to bring to your writing, painting, knitting, whatever. Clock in every day. Get the work done every day. No excuses. Now, I know. So simple, it's infuriating, isn't it? I'm often frustrated when someone gives me advice that hits like common sense. You just want to go, duh. But that's how you know it's good advice, right? It seems like a no-brainer. You feel as though you already knew it. But now that we've established that it should be common sense, let's be honest. Do you do it? Do you treat your art like it's your job? I'm not asking if you make money from it. That part comes later and it will eventually come. But first, you have to treat it like a job. I can hear your resistance flaring up from way over here. But Adrian, it needs to be fun. If I treat it like a job, it'll stop being fun and I'll stop loving it. Wrong. That's your resistance lying to you. You'll love it even more. Not only will you have fun doing it because it's art and art is fun, but you'll love the art more because it'll be supporting you in return for the effort that you put into it. You'll be your own boss. You'll set your own hours. You'll work when it's best for you. You'll work when you'll enjoy it the most. You will work when your powers are at their peak, when the creative juices are flowing most freely. Is it really that simple? Treat it like a job. That's it. I'm going to talk about this for an hour. Well, yes and no. On the macro, it is, right? The big picture, treat it like a job, be a professional, show up, make no excuses, accept no excuses from yourself. But on the micro, it can feel much more challenging than that, much more involved than that. It may take a bit of planning, scheduling, and even, dare I say it, spreadsheets. Disgusting, horrid things they are, but they serve their purpose. The ideal creative conditions don't magically happen. You have to design your ideal writing conditions, given what you have to work with. That's what my writing ritual comes from. Find the opportune time based on your daily schedule and get it done. If you're the type, like me, who needs a reward system, by all means, set that up. I use video games. Tears of the Kingdom, the new Legend of Zelda game, was just recently released, and I just got a copy this week for Father's Day. But I'm not allowed to play it until my writing session is done for the day. What about weekends off, like a professional? Time off is okay. Rest is important. However, you must know thyself, right? If taking 2 days off back to back will make it hard for you to get back into writing or whatever your art is on Monday, then don't take your days off back to back. Split them up. If taking a whole day off of writing is too hard to start back up, then take a break from writing, but put that time into something related to helping you write when you return to it. Read a book to refill your creative well, write something else, work on your world building, do some character designs, etc. Do something writing adjacent so you never stray too far away from the writing. These examples are from a writer to other writers. This is a writing conference. But if you are any other kind of creative, insert your creative endeavor here. We are ultimately talking about, or what we're actually talking about here is a mentality switch. The amateur loves the craft, and that's wonderful. The professional gets it done and collects a paycheck. Please understand that I am not speaking down to anyone who I am referring to now as an amateur. We all started out as amateurs, lovers of the art, trying our hand at it as a hobby, maybe even as a passion. But if your goal is to find your book on a bookshelf someday, or see your art in a gallery, or hear your song on the radio, then you have to make that transition from amateur to professional in here. To that, I asked some questions of some quote unquote amateurs and some quote unquote professionals, and we're going to roll through them here in just a second. I'm going to take a brief moment here to address the chat since I have been rambling quite a bit. Let's see what's been going on in there. How's everybody doing? All right, we got links to my Ko-fi in there. Appreciate that. We got links to my Amazon. Beautiful. Thank you very much, you guys. I am not seeing yet any cues. Let me look. All right, I am seeing some now. All right, there's one. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. And there's another. Set that one aside. There's another. All right, guys. So I'm going to address these questions in just a minute. So far, I'm seeing only 3. If I'm missing any, scream at me and I'll go back and find them. Right now I'm seeing only 3, and I'll address those in just a minute. Let's do some of these questions that we have here. Excuse me. So I asked, what is keeping you from finishing that passion project and releasing it to the world? What is standing in your way? One responder said, confidence, for starters. Once you release it to the world, it's out there for good, posting tidbits and not getting as much support as you expected. Especially from the standpoint of a big indie reviewer and supporter, you can find yourself wondering why you may not be getting the same level that you are putting in. It makes you wonder if it's just not good, which is, of course, all perception. Then there's the mental battle of, if I can't get an agent, it's probably because the book isn't good enough. which others seem to have beaten through self-publishing. I believe this person means here, at least by perception. But traditional publishing was always the plan for this particular writer. Then there's the inner battle of I did all this hard work, the story feels ready, but I don't want to wait years on the traditional world. Now you need finances to do it alone if you're going to go self publishing. It's not necessarily like a Kickstarter is guaranteed to succeed, especially without a product to show yet. All very valid concerns. That response reads to me like an example of what fear driven resistance is. Fear of letting go of the project, right? Of revealing it, fear of rejection, having done so, fear of failure, fear of spending money on your own endeavor and possibly not making it back. Very legitimate fear. But fear is resistance's steroid regimen. It just makes resistance stronger. Conquering that fear is the only way. To quote the great Joey Tribbiani, afraid of heights? Go to the tallest building. Afraid of bugs? Get a bug. In this case, you're afraid of putting your work out there into the world. It sounds like you need to put your work out there into the world. You can start small, beta readers, critique partners, right? Get constructive feedback from them to make your work better before it is in front of everyone. But those giving you the feedback are training you to accept it so that you can face that enormous fear of going public head on. You're worried about how your work will be perceived. Maybe invest time into sensitivity readers. Don't do what I do. Give them plenty of time to get it done. Worried about the money. Professional editors will definitely cost you. Sure, no way around that. But you can save up over time for an editor, especially if you know when you start out writing the novel that you're going to publish this one. You can start saving then. You can lower the cost by doing all of this other work with beta and sensitivity readers ahead of time, getting through your drafts to get it as clean as possible before sending it to the editor. Absolutely. Invest the money where it can do the most good, like the editor and the cover artist. But the rest of the costs can be mitigated. Arundel in the chat was expressing concerns about Ingram Spark and their bad reputation. I had the same concerns when I was looking at self-publishing. I heard the same horror stories and I didn't want anything to do with them. I found Draft 2 Digital. That's draft, the number 2, digital.com. They, for example, require no money upfront from you. They take their cut on the back end, of course, but you can publish a book right now, today, for free. You don't have to have money for your own ISBN, even. Draft 2 Digital will give you one. They'll put you in every online retailer, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, more. They'll put you in libraries. They do print and audiobooks now too. You can't afford formatting? Draft 2 Digital will do it for you. This is not a sponsored message. I'm simply illustrating that there are options available to you. And it's not just Ingram Spark. Can't afford a cover artist. AI art is a thing now. Yes, there's controversy, blah, blah, blah. The point is the option exists. It's there. It's your choice to use it to your advantage or to give in to resistance. Stop listening to resistance. It's full of crap. There's always a way. There's always a way. I asked, what advantages do you think professionals have over you? Why are they able to accomplish their goals? First response to that said, well, if they are indie, they have already overcome everything I haven't. That allows for a modicum of pride, confidence, and determination that I haven't had yet myself. Everyone has self-doubt and imposter syndrome, but if you've done it before, I believe you're strong enough to do so again. I'm going to get back to this in a minute, but this person is answering their own question right here. Moving on, if it's traditional, professional writers tend to have an entire team on their side. Not saying that makes it easy, because of course it's not, but if I had a deadline and a signed editor and an agent backing me, it might actually help. My response to that, it is Very fascinating how we have answers to our own questions, isn't it? If you've done it once before, you can very likely do it again. Overcoming that fear the first time leads to pride in your work, confidence in future work, determination to succeed further. If you know that publishing one's work leads to this, as you have just stated, why are you letting your fear keep you from doing it? Why are you resisting climbing up to the next level? Release the book, rip off that band aid. You've done it. You didn't die. Move forward. Every author's first book is their worst. Trust me on that one. Every painter's first painting is their worst, but they finished it. They put it out there. They realized that doing so, again, didn't kill them, but made them stronger. And then they did it again. And then they did it again and again. Get out of your own way and publish your work. As for the team of people around a traditionally published author, if you're going the self-published route and you're on a budget, you can still have that team. You're looking at it. AuthorTube. It's right here. My own editor is my sister, yes, and I did pay her to edit my novel because it's a big novel. But I paid her a fraction, literally a tiny fraction of the cost of a professional. Meanwhile, every other bit of help that I received, I found right here. I found critique partners here. I found beta readers here. I found sensitivity readers here. Build your team. All it will cost you is the act of being a part of the team. You'll have to reciprocate, but that's just teamwork. Pardon me, getting dry. Now, in response to this same question, another person said that the advantages that professionals have over us is time. This person said, I spend most of my day at my day job, so I am mentally exhausted by the time I have a chance to write. Even when I start my day with a writing sprint, that gets cut short, regardless of progress, so that I can go to my job. If I write at the end of the day, I feel burnt out and can only progress so far. This has exponential repercussions as I am writing less, and so I take longer to both produce and refine my skills. In response to this, I say, time management is definitely a big one. Feeling tired, burnt out when you come home from work definitely takes you down a peg and stifles creativity and productivity. That's true. But it's not unmanageable. I bet for this particular person who wrote this response, if, say, a marathon was coming up, they would make the effort to wake up an hour earlier than usual every day to get their run in before work because they approach running like a professional. I dare say you could do the same for your writing. I have done it myself. I'm speaking from experience. I've gone to bed an hour earlier, sacrificing, and I use that word very, very, very intentionally, sacrificing my nightly TV show or movie, which is a very, very important part of my day. Also, I could wake up an hour earlier. And I did that so I could write while everyone else in the house was asleep. Maybe that's only a 1 hour writing session every day. Maybe that's only two 25-minute sprints with 5-minute breaks. And maybe that doesn't sound like much. But the important thing isn't how much time you put in, but the fact that you put in the time every damn day. I asked, what question would you ask a professional in your chosen field? The big response was, how do you get yourself to reread the damn draft? Because this is specifically a writing-centric question, not necessarily just artists overcoming resistance, but specifically how do you do this, I'm going to take a moment here to actually answer this question myself. I have 4 things that I do. Number 1, take time away from it. Do other things in that time. 2 weeks, 4 weeks, just long enough to be able to look at it with fresh eyes. When you return to it, change the font of the entire document so that it looks completely new to you. The stranger the font, the better. It makes you like really look at it. When you read it, number 3, do so aloud. Listen for the rhythm of your writing. Listen for deviations from that rhythm and opportunities to fix it. And number 4, and this last one might sound kind of dumb, but put yourself in the headspace of a blank slate first time reader. If you had never read this before, how would that sentence sound to you? What lines would you find impressive or impactful? What mysteries would you be curious about? What theories might you formulate? Look at it as a reader, not as the writer, right? We'll close out the end of the stream in a little bit with some quotes from some professionals that should prove helpful to you guys out there. But for now, let's go ahead and turn our attention finally to those chat questions. All right. Now I'm going to go up here. I'm going to check for any new ones. In the meantime, while I was talking, there's a new one, and then we're going to get started. Okay. I think that's it. All right. So, question number 1. Let's get rid of this. How to make the mental switch when plagued by mental illness? Excellent question. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm definitely not experienced enough in all forms of mental illness to answer this question. I do know that the main crux of it for me and my particularness, for the record, I've been diagnosed recently with ADHD, but so has everybody, right? Anyway, for me, it's about identifying what my strengths and weaknesses are, and then designing my writing routine to feed those weak spots, to strengthen those weak spots. Whatever they happen to be for you, that's what you want to kind of build a scaffolding around. Routine is very, very important. Doing it consistently is very, very important. But when it comes ultimately down to actual mental health and taking care of your mental health, please consult your physician, consult your therapist, your doctors. Some folks use medications, some folks don't. However works best for you, please do so safely and carefully. How to balance writing when you work 40 to 60 hour weeks. It takes all your energy and creativity. I get that. I addressed that a little earlier. The whole working 40 to 60 hours, that's first of all, that's crazy. 60 hours a week, that's a lot of work. If that's your day job, whoa. I work 40 hours a week and I'm consistently tired. So I can definitely sympathize. I can definitely empathize. It always comes down to time management. If, in addition to working 40 to 60 hours a week, you're also, for example, just off the top of my head, eating out a lot, going to restaurants, some people love food. I love food. I got a big belly. I love food. I love going out to eat. I love, professionals creating a beautiful meal for me to consume. That's fantastic. But that takes time. It takes a lot of time to go to a restaurant. You're waiting to be seated. You get seated. You order. You wait for the order. The order comes. You eat. You order some drinks or maybe a coffee, whatever. Then you kind of sit there and unbuckle your pants, and then you get buckled back up, and you get up and you leave. You drive home. All of that was time that you could have spent writing. And again, that's just an example off the top of my head, but that's something that I would do, is I would assess all the things that I do in a week that are not my 40-hour-a-week day job or my taking care of my kids, etc. If I'm doing anything other, I assess the importance of that other, because I could just be writing. But again, finding your ideal creative, formula for your routine is key. Finding the right time of day for you is key. For me, again, I write best in the mornings, and knowing that if I have deadlines coming up or I have something that I'm really trying to get done, I'm going to go to bed a little earlier and I'm going to get up a little earlier and I'm going to spend time writing in the morning because I know that that's when I'm most productive. I know that about myself. So I ask you, what do you know about you and how can you filter that towards your writing routine? How do you determine how much downtime you need to be good for your job and family and how much of whatever is left you can use for writing? That's again, and I don't want to sound dismissive. It's up to you as an individual. It comes down to you and your particular details, what you have available to you, what you do not, etc. I have children, I have a wife. All three of them, for inexplicable reasons, care about me, love me, and want to spend time with me. And my time is limited. I work 40 hours a week. I work from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I don't even get to see my kids when they go to bed most nights. I only have Tuesday and Wednesday off, and I strive every week to put them to bed every Tuesday and Wednesday because I don't get to otherwise. I make time for that. I know, hey, my only window to put these boys to bed is Tuesday and Wednesday nights. So every Tuesday and Wednesday night, I'm free of anything else that would keep me from that. Same mentality to my writing. I'm not going to schedule any early morning doctor visits or any early morning meetings, or because I know that in the early morning is the best time for me to get work done, for me to get writing done. So that's what I focus on. And so that's how I approach that. There was a poll in the chat. I'm ending it right now. I wanted to show everybody the results because it was kind of a trick question. Let me put it up over here real quick here. All right. What's the biggest obstacle between you and your progress? Is it time? Most people said time. Is it money? Second, most people said money. Is it motivation? Third, most people said motivation. Or is it yourself? Oh, actually, I'm reading this wrong. 30% of people said myself. 21% of people said motivation. 13%. What is wrong with me? All right. 34% said time. 30% said money. 21% said myself. Jesus. Okay. Anyway, it was a trick question. The answer is yourself. Okay. Because if your biggest obstacle is time, you manage your time. You can manage your time in a way where even if it's just 20 minutes, that's where people get bogged down. I don't have 2 hours to write. That's okay. Do you have 20 minutes? Write for 20 minutes. If that's the only time that you have every day is 20 minutes, then use that 20 minutes every day. If your biggest obstacle is money, again, that's up to you. You can choose what to spend money on and what not to spend money on. You can choose to save up money for the cover art and the editor, or just the editor and do the cover art with AI. You can choose that. There's nothing stopping you from choosing that. The answer is you. Let's go back. Fourth question. If every author's first book is the worst, did you just insult your own book? Yes. But it's still really, really good and worth reading. You should check it out. You thought you had me in a trick question, but no, I admit fully that my second book will be so much better than my first was. Looks like we have a couple more questions. I'm going to queue them up here. I saw one more. I scroll past it. There it is. All right, let's check those out. All right. From Helen Garraway, if you don't write that first book, how can you improve? Exactly. I don't think she's actually asking me that. I think that's rhetorical. You have to write that first book. Much like the person who submitted a response earlier said, people who have already done it know that they can do it again. If you haven't done it yet, just do it. Learn that you can, and then do it again. Maybe the first time isn't going to be the best. That's okay. It's normal. Second time will be better. Third time will be really good. What are we talking about? Pause. Okay. Next one, follow up or clarify. I mean specifically to avoid burnout. It's an individual situation. I guess I really mean to ask, how do you know when you are burning out and need to stop something? All right. So if you're talking about in a writing session, there's an answer. If you're talking about a project overall, there's another answer. Number one, if you're talking about a specific writing session, you want to know, how do I know when to stop? You stop when you feel like stopping. You stop. Now you can do this several ways, right? Because again, it's what works best for you. If you're using timers, keep going until the timer stops. Even if what you're writing is nonsense, at least you're writing and you can fix it later. Okay. Don't worry about the quality of what you're writing. Just continue writing. Now, if you are supposed to be writing for, let's say, a 2-hour session or something like that, and you're an hour and 40 minutes in, and you're just riddled with typos and you're writing nonsense, and you don't feel like any ideas are, stop. It's cool. I did my session for today. You know, I have reached my limit. I'm gonna stop, put it aside. I'll get back to it tomorrow. If you're talking about a project overall, if you're working on a project for so long that you feel burnt out on it, you probably should have finished it a while ago. You probably should have already put it out there. You probably should have already walked away from it. And if it is not at a point where it is anywhere near completion or being ready to be shared, then trust your whole I'm burnt out on this project. Trust that in yourself. Set it aside and start something new, something fresh. Maybe you'll return to that other one with fresh energy and fresh eyes. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will. Maybe you'll never go back to it, right? Maybe. Sorry, my kids. Uh, they've thrown me completely off. But the idea is to trust your instincts, trust your feelings, trust yourself. Just like when you know your body is sick, you know when you're burnt out on a project. Um, there's always ways to revitalize it. There's always things that you can do to get back into the swing of things, whether it's practicing some free writing, going back to your outline, etc. There's so many things that you can do to kind of respark that energy. I'm going to take this moment to mention that a lot of what I'm talking about today is also sort of preamble to a course that I will be releasing at some point on my website once it's done being edited. Um, a course on how to get out of your own way and finish the first draft of a novel. And I mean step by step. I go from idea, brainstorming, thought dumping, outlining, index cards, the whole thing. I go through all of it, all the way to the first draft, to finishing the first draft and beginning the edit. And I show you how to do it step by step. And I do that because it was hard for me. It was hard for me to finish a first draft before this novel. And the techniques that I researched and learned and implemented into my writing led to the completion of this novel, which is now published and you can buy it wide, links down below. So, all that to say, there's always a way. If you're having any trouble finding your way, please reach out to me, send me an email, get to me on Instagram, in the Discord server. I'm all over the place. Facebook, find me, talk to me. I'm easy to talk to. And I'll steer you in the right direction. If I can't answer your question, I bet you I'll know who can, and I'll point you in their direction. I'll share my ideas and techniques with you. I'm happy to do so. Or wait for my course. It's coming eventually. Who knows? All right. We are 15 minutes from the top of the hour here. So we are going to start winding down. Let's see here. We got some links in the chat. All good. NaNoWriMo talk. All right. Sign companies. He caught it. What's up, Richard? Yes, I am doing a course now. The plan originally was to sell the course. I must admit that the plan is evolving, and I think the idea is going to be to make it a free gift for folks who buy my book. I do not know when this will happen. Do not hold off on buying my book because you might get this. I'll get it to you if you really want it. It's not a big deal. It's something we'll probably give away for free either to my newsletter or to people who buy my book. And that's coming eventually. And then after that course, I will continue to make more that will cover the rest of the writing process, the editing, the second draft, the final draft, critique partners, beta readers, alpha readers, sensitivity readers, all of the above. All right. What else? Yay. Thank you. Here we go. Kofi What is debate? That's got to be a typo or a word I just don't know. Somebody help me out. I don't think it's going to be on Ko-fi. I think it'll just be through my website directly. Hey, she bought my book. Thank you so much. That's awesome. All right. Now you guys are just making me blush. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get back into this here to wrap things up. I asked some professionals, what are some things you wish people had told you about the transition from amateur to professional? One responder said that it is not easy at all. There's a process and it needs to be followed. And even then, success is not guaranteed. You can spend lots of money, time, energy, and readers simply don't like your work. Boy, don't I know it. I recently got my first 1-star review and it hit me like a ton of bricks. But I'm human. Anyway, I was trying to clean my glasses and I just made them worse. So in response to this response, I would say, remember, the goal was never for everyone to love your work. It was to display your finished work professionally, to sell it as a product, and to begin work on your next one. If you did those 3 things, you succeeded. People liking it, like making a profit, will come with time and practice. Those things are little moments of happiness along the way, but they are not the destination. So keep that in mind. Next. Excuse me. In response to this same question, another person said, knowing your audience and making sure you deliver is important if you want to make money and be able to market well. Also, it might be worth having a pen name. That's sound advice, and I have nothing to add to that. I asked, what are some lessons you learned the hard way or obstacles you hadn't anticipated along the way? Knowing who to trust for information. There are a lot of ignorant and bad actors out there, and knowing how to separate good information from bad is important. More sage advice, trust your nose when it smells BS, right? All right. Next up, we have, I didn't realize how much of my writing time would be dedicated to market research and marketing. Also, I didn't realize that my time as a reviewer would fade. I'm no longer just a reader, but a writer, and feels like posting negative reviews is punching down. So I only review books that I love and am excited about. Yeah. It changes where you are in life. It changes you as a person. You're no longer, just the consumer of art. Now you are a creator of art. And as such, you have a responsibility to the community of creators of art, right? And the peers around you. So very, very good to know. Next up, I asked, what is the best piece of advice you ever received about professionalism? And this is our last question. We're going to get through these last 2 answers. Know your lane and don't feel the need to comment on everything. I don't know enough about this topic to have an opinion is a valid answer, like earlier when I was asked about mental illness. And don't lose the passion. Your readers can tell. So for the can't talk. So for the first half, I full on agree. I would only add that no is a full sentence. As for not losing the passion, the second part, you will get tired. You will sometimes feel burnt out. Rest is good, important, and healthy. But I truly believe that if you love the art, you will love creating art for as long as you are able to do so. Last bit of advice from our professionals: any choice has to make business sense, and never give up. Never give up. A perfect note to go out on. Any last minute questions from the chat before we say goodbye? Some answers for my question. I did have a question in here. What has been the biggest victory in your creative battles? Tell me all about it here. Formatting is the harder part of self-publishing valor. Let's see here. Any other answers to that question? If you buy Adrian's lovely book, please leave a review. How nice. Yes, please do. 1 star should be ignored. They were either not your target audience, they didn't read the book, or they are just nasty. They did read the book. They are not my target audience. They are most definitely not my target audience. And so I was eventually able to get over that 1 star review. Now it's more about like my stats. I only have 5 reviews. 20% of them is a 1 star. So please do leave reviews. 4 and 5 stars, please. Just let's get them up there. All right. Okay, I think that about does it. Thank you guys so very much for joining me today. Thank you to my good friends at the AWC, Shannon and Margaret, for the opportunity to share with you today. I hope that this talk was beneficial to you. I hope that you got something out of it. Thank you to all that contributed to it. Please go read The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. The audiobook is available here on YouTube for the low, low price of absolutely freaking free. Down below. I did you the favor of including the link. It's right there. You just got to click. Any resistance to clicking, just overcome that. Right? In the description downstairs. Don't let resistance win. It's a dumb little bitch and it needs to be put in its place. Go forth and win many creative battles. Right on, writers. We are out.